My name is Captain Steve Trevor, pilot, American Expeditionary Forces, serial number 8141921. That's all I'm at liberty to... Assigned to British intelligence. What the hell is this thing?
The lasso of Hestia compels you to reveal the truth.
But it's really hot.
What is your mission?
Whoever you are in more danger than you think.
What is your mission?
I am a spy! I'm a spy. I'm a spy.
On the set.
This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the May 30th, 2017 edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Brought to you on the Chronic Riff Network. This week's birthdays include Carey Mulligan from Pride and Prejudice, film composer and Oingo Boingo alum Danny Elfman, Broadway star Idina Menzel, sci-fi everyman Mark Shepard, Leah Thompson from Back to the Future, Spider-Man Tom Holland, Morgan Freeman, who you know from a ton of stuff, Wentworth Miller, Captain Cold from The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, Zachary Quinto, Spock from the new Star Trek films, and Miranda Baccarin from Firefly. Starting with the box office report, Pirates rule and lifeguards drool. At number 10 is The Fate of the Furious, down 3 from 7th. At number 9 is The Boss Baby, down 1 from 8th. At 8th is King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, down 3 from 5th. In 7th is Snatched, down 3 from 4th. And finishing out this week's bottom 5 is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul, holding steady from Premiere. The top 5 this week begin with Everything Everything, down 2 from 3rd with $7.7 million and a new total of $23 million. In 4th place is Alien Covenant, surrendering the top spot with $10.6 million and a new total of $57.4 million. In 3rd place is new release Baywatch, premiering to $18.5 million over 3 days and $23.1 million over the Memorial Day holiday weekend. Against a $69 million budget, Baywatch is a bomb. Audiences gave it a B+, which does not bode well for the coming weeks, and critics agreed with a 19% reception. Of note were the audience demographics. While the original television show was typically targeted toward men, as the 1990s version of Jiggle TV, the majority of the audience were older women. It's The Rock, baby. In second, for a second week, is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, adding $20.9 million to a total of $334.2 million. And taking over in first this week is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, stealing $63 million over 3 days and $78.5 million over 4. In terms of Captain Jack Sparrow's previous exploits, this one opened at 4th place in the franchise, only beating the original from 2003. It's also a bit of a disappointment against that $230 million budget, but it's doing well globally, and that's part of Disney's strategy for this franchise. It received an A- cinema score from audiences, but a 31% from critics. I saw it with a group of fellow pirate fans this weekend, and I came away happy with a 7 out of 10 rating. After the dust has settled, the top 10 have earned $164.8 million over the 4-day weekend, which is actually the worst performance for Memorial Day in 18 years. Year to year, it's even down 15% from 2016, which showcased X-Men Apocalypse and Alice Through the Looking Glass. Let's close out the box office report with what was winning in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2012, Snow White and the Huntsman took number 1 with $56.2 million. 10 years ago in 2007, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End won the weekend for a second and final week with $44.2 million. 20 years ago in 1997, The Lost World Jurassic Park was the winner for a second and final week with $34.1 million. 30 years ago in 1987, Beverly Hills Cop 2 took the title for a second week with $17.1 million. And 40 years ago in 1977, some small independent flick by the name of Star Wars burst onto the scene with $7.2 million, marking the highest weekend debut of that year. The box office premieres for June 2nd start with a DC Comics origin story that isn't Superman and it isn't Batman. It's amazing. It's wonderful. I honestly never thought I'd see the day when a mainstream female-led superhero flick would grace the silver screen. This week's headliner is Wonder Woman, an action-adventure drama starring Gal Gadot, Robin Wright, and Connie Nielsen.
Harder. You're stronger than this, Diana. Again. Never let your guard down. You expect the battle to be fair! A battle will never be fair!
Before she was Wonder Woman, she was Diana, Princess of the Amazons, trained warrior. When a pilot crashes and tells of conflict in the outside world, she leaves home to fight a war to end all wars, discovering her full powers and true destiny. I may be overly excited about this film, but Rotten Tomatoes has already guaranteed it fresh, and all the people I know who have seen it love it. Oh, please don't let me down. Wonder Woman is rated PG-13. The other wide release this week is Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, an animated action comedy starring Kevin Hart, Ed Helms, and Nick Kroll.
This morning's school sign is supposed to read, "Sewage plant field trips are today." So can either of you explain why it now reads,
"Come see my hairy armpits"?
I know you two are responsible.
How? How do you know? Do you have any proof?
Ever since you've attended this elementary school, you've been responsible for one prank after another.
A lot of pranks.
Yeah, when it's cut all together like that, you really get a sense of the scope.
Some of those must have been really hard to pull off.
And dangerous, like that tiger.
Oh, that tiger was crazy.
Two overly imaginative pranksters named George and Harold hypnotize their principal into thinking he's a ridiculously enthusiastic, incredibly dim-witted superhero named Captain Underpants. Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, is rated PG. There are also 5 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those in the show notes. Next up is a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of May 30th, and I'll begin with new release on DVD and Blu-ray, and that list kicks off with The Shack, a drama starring Sam Worthington, Octavia Spencer, and Radha Mitchell. A grieving man receives a mysterious, personal invitation to meet with God at a place called The Shack. The Shack is rated PG-13. The second title is Before I Fall, a drama starring Zoe Deutsch, Elena Kampouris, and Halston Sage. February 12th is just another day in Sam's charmed life until it turns out to be her last. Stuck reliving her last day over one inexplicable week, Sam untangles the mystery around her death and discovers everything she's in danger of losing. Before I Fall is rated PG-13. And the third title is Collide, an action thriller starring Nicholas Hoult, Felicity Jones, and Ben Kingsley. A backpacker from the U.S. gets involved with a ring of drug smugglers as their driver, though he winds up on the run from his employers across Munich's high-speed freeways. Collide is rated PG-13. Swinging by new releases on digital video, I have one title there. That one is A Cure for Wellness, a horror film starring Dane DeHaan, Jason Isaacs, and Mia Goth. An ambitious young executive is sent to retrieve his company's CEO from an idyllic but mysterious wellness center at a remote location in the Swiss Alps. He soon suspects that the spa's miraculous treatments are not what they seem, and when he begins to unravel its terrifying secrets, his sanity is tested as he finds himself diagnosed with the same curious illness that keeps all the guests here longing for the cure. A Cure for Wellness is rated R. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, start things there with Major Crimes, Season 5 from 2016, starring Mary McDonnell, G.W. Bailey, and Tony Dennison. Major Crimes returns with more mysteries in Season 5 as the squad must solve some of the most challenging homicides in America's second-largest city. From searching for a missing teenage girl who vanished while helping the homeless, hunting down the killer of a potentially dirty cop, or following up on a beheading in an isolated corner of Los Angeles, the investigators attempt to return balance to the scales of justice. Also this season, Sharon strives to push Rusty through college while figuring out where she wants to go in her ongoing romance with Andy Flynn. Julio Sanchez decides to adopt a child himself. Provenza develops sensitivities related to his new marriage to Patrice. Buzz Watson picks up the 30-year-old murder investigation of his father and uncle. Mike Tao wins an award for his work as a Hollywood consultant, and Amy Sykes confronts the idea of motherhood versus focusing on her career.
See the money won't stay for you and you, getting all the peace of pie for your wife. Everybody wanna know how it feels. Everybody wanna see what it's like. My baby wanna be a queen. Well, alright, we all deserve to find the things in this life.
Number 2 on the list is Suits, Season 6 from 2016, starring Gabriel Macht, Patrick J. Adams, and Meghan Markle. After signing a plea deal to spare his colleagues at Pearson Specter Lit, Mike faces the harsh realities of prison life as he starts his 2-year sentence. Meanwhile, the once bustling PSL offices are now a ghost town. The partners had defected, leaving Harvey, Jessica, Lewis, Donna, and Rachel to pick up the pieces. With the firm facing numerous lawsuits as fallout of the plea deal, and Harvey on a mission to get Mike released from prison, PSL's troubles are far from over.
This is my boss, Jonathan Hahn, a self-made millionaire. He's quite a guy. This is Mrs. H. She's gorgeous. What a terrific lady. By the way, my name is Max. I take care of them, which ain't easy, because their hobby is murder.
The third TV title is Heart to Heart, the complete series, spanning 1979 to 1984 and starring Robert Wagner, Stephanie Powers, and Lionel Stander. The world's most glamorous amateur sleuths are back for mystery, fun, and danger in this complete series collection of Heart to Heart. In 111 captivating cases ranging from kidnapping and robbery to industrial espionage and murder, romantic jet-setters Jonathan and Jennifer Hart risk life, limb, and lifestyle to solve the most unsolvable of crimes. Heart to Heart, the complete series, is a rich and sexy blend of adventure, intrigue, and excitement. And this week's final TV title is Beauty and the Beast, the complete series, spanning 2012 to 2016 and starring Kristen Crook, Jay Ryan, and Nina Lisandrello. 3 years after NYPD detective Catherine Chandler witnesses her mother's murder, a case leads her to ex-soldier Vincent Keller, a man with a dark and mysterious past. As their love grows, so does the danger. While Catherine discovers more about who and what Vincent really is, together they must uncover who cursed him with his unnatural abilities. I'll wrap up the Home Entertainment slate with Blu-rays from the past, and this week I bring you one title. That one is The Paradigm Case. a romantic drama thriller from 1947 starring Gregory Peck, Anne Todd, and Charles Laughton. A happily married London barrister falls in love with the accused poisoner he is defending. The Paradigm Case is not rated. After this brief break for about a shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will continue.
So you were doing what yesterday?
I was playing Oblivion for 12 hours straight.
That is the most awesome thing I've ever heard in my life.
I'm still working on it. I'm the obsessive-compulsive type that likes to explore every cave, every nook and cranny of every mountain, every city,
That's why they
every
put it there.
back alley. Yes, I know.
You know what I like?
What?
Civilization and a bottle of wine. Whole day. That to me would be heaven. Because as I've said before, I can't play Civilization every day, but I could play it for a whole day.
If you had a bottle of wine.
If I had a bottle of wine.
Otherwise, would
just
you play
keep
it?
Not like to get drunk, but just to have a nice little,
It's like a good book.
Just, yes. Yeah. That's exactly what it is for me. And always think that I might play aggressively, and then I never do.
Because the wine mellows you out.
Because the wine mellows me out. It's awesome. It's just a really great way to spend a day.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Angela.
And when you're not listening to this glorious podcast, we would love to have you listen to ours, the Anomaly Podcast.
That's ANOMALY podcast.com.
And welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. If you're hoping for a Wonder Woman something for this podcast, I am so sorry. There's been scarce little coverage on the movie, and apart from glowing reviews and my own desire to see it, I got nothing. And that's not true. I have distaste for Warner Brothers, who has decided not to give Wonder Woman the coverage she deserves, because if they do that and she succeeds, they'll have to admit to themselves that female-led movies and female directors are something they should have been promoting for years. However, if they do no advertising and the movie tanks, they can congratulate and console themselves that lady movies just don't sell and will never move on from the stupid box we've been stuck in since Hollywood's conception. Go see Wonder Woman, guys. Seriously. Stick it to Hollywood and their outdated notions of what women should and shouldn't be doing in the movie business. On the bright side, what I do have for you is a fantastic announcement from Netflix. Hold on to your butts, the streaming juggernaut is bringing The Witcher to life. Excuse me while I squeal. On Wednesday, Netflix announced it was developing and producing a new drama series based on the novels from Polish author Andrzej Sapkowski. If you haven't read the 8 books in the short story collections that spawned a hugely successful video game franchise that centers around witchers, hunters who develop supernatural abilities at a young age to battle deadly monsters and be hated the world over, you need to get out from under your rock and toddle your way over to Amazon, where the English translations of all the books and short stories are available for purchase. We couldn't be more excited about bringing the Witcher saga to Netflix members around the world, Eric Barmack, Netflix vice president, said. Sean Daniel will executive produce through his banner along with his Sean Daniel company partner Jason Brown. Tomek Baginski and Jarek Salko of Platage Image will also executive produce. Did I mention there were games? The Witcher is only available on PC, while the other 2 are available for console play. Up next, Aardman's Early Man gets an official US release. Yay! I love Aardman! Stop motion is not dead, you guys, and Lionsgate has picked up the distribution rights to the UK-based animation company. In addition to theatrical distribution rights, Lionsgate has licensing and merchandising rights for the film domestically. According to Deadline, Lionsgate will release it domestically February 16, 2018. Early Man stars the voice of Oscar winner Eddie Redmayne as a caveman named Doug, who with his warthog Hognob becomes a thorn in the size of pompous money-loving tyrant Lord Nooth, voiced by Tom Hiddleston. Game of Thrones' Maisie Williams also stars as the voice of the rebellious Guna, who becomes an ally of Doug's as he attempts to unify his tribe to take on his chief nemesis. Oh, and in case you're wondering, Shaun the Sheep 2 is officially happening. It doesn't have a release date yet, but it will go into production January 2017 and will reunite Richard Starzyk as director and Paul Cooley as producer. It's so good to see our men getting some love. Their movies are never short of stellar, and the confidence studios have in stop motion is refreshing. In a world saturated with CGI, it's nice to see something a little more real. Talking of Game of Thrones, the official final season episode count has been set. Although each of the first 6 seasons of D.B. Weiss and David Benioff's mega-hit HBO series has spanned 10 episodes, the final 2 seasons have long expected to be truncated. At this point, I'm never gonna get the next damn book, so I should probably start watching the show again. And the final episode count for Season 8 has been revealed as 6. 6 episodes, confirming the belief that Benioff and Weiss plan to tell the story of the final 2 seasons in a 13-episode arc. Benioff and Weiss are currently writing the final season amidst post-production for Season 7, which premieres in July. Still no word on when we'll get Winds of Winter. Up next, the UFO drama Blue Book from Robert Zemeckis is ordered by the History Channel. You guys remember when the History Channel actually taught you something? According to Deadline, the network ordered Blue Book, created and written by David O'Leary, straight to series with a 10-episode first season. Blue Book will be the 4th original scripted series, followed by Vikings, 6, and upcoming drama Nightfall to air on History. The series will chronicle the true top-secret U.S. Air Force-sponsored investigations known as Project Blue Book, which researched UFO-related phenomenon that took place during the 1950s and 60s. The series will follow Dr. J. Allen Hynek, a brilliant college professor who was recruited by the Air Force to be at the forefront of the investigation and has researched thousands of cases, many of them never solved. Zemeckis spoke with excitement about the series to Deadline, saying, "Rarely have I been associated with a project that is a perfect fusion of historical fact and extraordinary entertainment. We are grateful for A&E Studios and History support for what I know will be a fabulous series." The show will be structured with each episode drawing from case files and blending UFO theories with actual historical events that took place during the time period. So, I take back my earlier disdain. This sounds awesome! And finally, Brian Fuller has a great idea for Hannibal Season 4. It is as follows in Mr. Fuller's own words. There's an interesting next chapter in the relationship between Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter that would be fascinating to unpack. I've shared it with the gentlemen and they're both keen on it. There's a whole storyline I want to do with Katie Isabel's character, Margot Verger, who we know is mother of the Verger heir and in control of the Verger meatpacking industry. I wanted her to be like Joan Crawford at Pepsi saying, "Don't screw with me, fellas," and just humanize all of the Verger meatpacking plants and turn them over to PETA approved. That would definitely be marbled through the season. Margot Verger taking down the industry as a hot, powerful lesbian. Dude, I'm in. Somebody make it happen. Seriously, I've been waiting forever for Hannibal Season 4. If this thing happens, I'm there. And that's it for this week's Quick Flicks. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And here we are once again at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, we would love to hear from you. You can surf on over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using your microphone. You can write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com. If 140 characters or less is more your thing, you can still tweet us on Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith. And I am Womprat99, like the creature liquid bullseye is T16 in Beggar's Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies, of course. If you leave us feedback, you may hear your words on a future edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what other shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. We have Cyborg's Bionic Podcast, the Batcave Podcast, the OSI Files Podcast, the G2V Podcast, Generations Geek, Present the Transcription Feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner Podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show Version Podcast, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, you can also find us there on the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, where you can find episodes of the Chronic Rift's adventures in the 1990s when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. Check us out and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who for the first time from the very beginning and reviewing those tales in the Timestamps Project. Right now, the blog is wrapping up the 18th season, the final season with the 4th Doctor. In fact, I just posted Logopolis, and those reviews can be found at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. You can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as a cover designer. Check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make at that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support keeps us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets at the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production, and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures and drama, comedy and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. Get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and I'll see you at Wonder Woman.
That's a wrap!